Intuition will support you, or supported me, to discover greater parts of myself by simply going into those dark places where I was afraid of on my own. And it manifests for myself as taking a lot of risks, putting myself on a lot of one-way plane tickets, sleeping in strange situations, putting myself out there and just going, right, I don't know what's going to happen here, but let's throw myself at that wall and see if it's going to separate.
Welcome to Breaking the Silence, the podcast that peels away layers of authenticity, one conversation at a time. I'm your host, Gavin Hyde, and today I'm thrilled to introduce a remarkable guest, Mark Linham. Mark is a creative artist, an internationally certified mindset coach, Reiki Master, and very soon to be published author. His journey is a testament to resilience and the transformative power of healing and creativity. After facing challenges such as feeling disconnected and even experiencing homelessness, Mark found solace and inspiration through his passion for healing and creative expression. His mission is to empower dreamers, vagabonds, and artists to confidently reveal their hidden talents to the world. Today, Mark joins us as a contributing author in the upcoming book, Breaking the Silence, Awakening Your Intuitive Voice, due for release in early 2025. His chapter, The Conduct of Intuition, explores the profound nature of intuition as a force that cuts through life's boundaries, revealing wisdom and fostering growth. Mark, welcome to the podcast. It's truly an honor to have you here.
Hey, Gavin. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's dive into this one. I'm sure this is going to be an exciting conversation, mate, where we just have a whole lot of fun and just explore and share and be creative and make a huge difference. So, Mark, let's begin with your chapter, The Conduct of Intuition. What inspired you to write this deeply reflective piece?
This was a period in my time where I was realizing that there was a struggle inside myself with regard to following in the footsteps that society had placed for me, or going some other way, which I had no idea what it was going to be for me. It really tested me during that time to step back aside from my father, who was the sort of man who would say, well, he was the man who would say, you're just like your father, you're going to be just like me when you grow up, and we're going to be this together. And he was all about this backslapping, but when push came to shove, it wasn't really like that at all. And for a kid to wake up to that and realize it and go, what else is there? That was a powerful time for me.
I can really relate to, you're just going to be like me. Maybe from the opposite perspective, I remember having similar conversations with my father and him saying, and me saying, I just want to be like you. And he say, and my father saying, I don't want you to be anything like me. So, Mark, how does this reflection connect into your deep personal journey?
Well, I found that I'd created this scenario, this world around myself of structure of the way things are. This is that, that's it. This is the pathway. I'm me and my dad and go and work and house, car, 2.3 kids, yada, yada. And when that wasn't real for me, I really had to ask myself what was. And asking myself what was only led me to running up into walls that I thought had nothing behind them, that were impenetrable. And I found that being able to break through those barriers was what my journey was all about, to find out what lay beyond, outside the box, over the wall, as it were.
Oh, I love that. What's outside of the box, beyond the wall, so to speak. So in your chapter, you described intuition as a finely honed edge of a knife. Can you elaborate how this metaphor reflects on your own life?
Oh, I love that metaphor. It is so delicious. You see, like if I'm breaking through that box and I'm cutting through the barriers, that doesn't happen because I'm dreaming about it. That doesn't happen because I'm remembering something. That happens right here and now. And so when you've got this edge of the knife, that knife is, like for me, like a machete or a sword. And as you're making the cut, and as that cut comes down, the edge of the knife is cutting through the present moment of the here and now and separating one part from another to become the decision that I've made. So that edge of the sword, it can't happen anywhere else but here and now. And that's to me where intuition kicks in. Otherwise, it's foresight or afterthought, hindsight. But intuition is embedded firmly in the present moment of cutting through and making that decision.
That's such a powerful concept, that the edge of a knife and how it cuts beyond boundaries. So I'm just wondering, Mark, can you share with the listeners how intuition and that process for you manifested in your own growth?
I mentioned earlier, I touched upon earlier that there's a boundary and then there's the edge of the knife cutting through it. And the first thing that comes to mind is that scene out of Empire Strikes Back where you have Yoda taking Luke into the tree. And Luke reaches for his lightsaber and Yoda says, your lightsaber, you'll not need it. You take, you'll only need what you take take with you. And I found that's really very true with intuition. It's that when you put yourself into a situation and you put yourself into, say, the tree, as Luke did, intuition will support you, or supported me, to discover greater parts of myself by simply going into those dark places where I was afraid of on my own. And it manifests for myself as taking a lot of risks, putting myself on a lot of one-way plane tickets, sleeping in strange situations, putting myself out there and just going, right, I don't know what's going to happen here, but let's throw myself at that wall and see if it's going to separate. And that's when I find for myself intuition kicks in the most, is when I'm really taking a risk against my own perception of boundaries. And as I'm speeding towards those boundaries and I'm feeling the intense need to crash through them and knowing that my head's not strong enough, that's when this edge of the knife comes out and go, right, this way, that way, chum, 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 chum. And I find that it helps me a lot. As a younger man, it was a bit of an addictive thing to do, but it taught me a lot. It really taught me a lot about who I was, what I value, and gave me a much better relationship with myself and my intuition, of course.
Sure. Your journey as an artist and a mindset coach really does, and even how you've just explained, how intuition works for you in regards to your own personal growth and taking those risks. How do you think creative expression serves as a gateway to deeper intuition and self-awareness?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that, Gavin. Creativity supports the artist to be non-judgmental. It supports the artist to allow it to come out of themselves and to just put it on the paper, on the whatever it is they're out there to make. You see, I've noticed there are two different types of artists. There are creative artists and productive artists. And a creative artist is the one that interests me the most. They're the ones who will just create for the sake of experiencing that process, where a productive artist will produce an artwork, maybe 20 of them, get involved in the marketing, the selling, all the box and dice. Yet a creative artist is the most special creature of all. And I love working with them because they're often afraid, they're timid, they get confused about definitions and boundaries and judgments and opinions. But once they can allow this to just come forward from themselves and express what they're doing freely, without critical judgment, without anything, that's just a wonderful conduit for them to get used to that experience of things flowing through them without this, oh no, I shouldn't, oh no, it mustn't, oh, that's not right, which are the symptoms of second guessing your own intuition and puts it back out into the realms of the supernatural fantasy.
Wow. My mind is blown with your creative expression, because I'm thinking I'm probably the person that does the 20 things, and I find that you're the total opposite of all of that. So how amazing it is to meet the opposite. So maybe they say opposites attract, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be like a bug that kind of flies by and you think it's a bit of a pest, but it's actually really something that you can take advantage of. Mark, intuition, you mentioned, it can often emerge in unexpected ways. Can you share a moment from your life when intuition guided you in a direction that you hadn't anticipated? Something personal.
Yes, I never expected to, anticipated, expected, or even dreamed I was going to wind up homeless. And in a long-winded roundabout sort of a way, yeah, it did get me to where it was. I think I resisted intuition a lot. I resisted a lot of the calls that were saying to me go one particular direction or another, but it just went right. And I found when I found myself sleeping in a construction site, I felt so removed from society. It was as though I was looking at planet Earth and I could see the entire universe around it. And planet Earth was just society. Planet Earth was just the structure that we had placed around ourselves to call this our world. But being homeless really just pulled me right out of that. And I'm so grateful for the experience of having done that. It's not a place I want to go back to in a hurry, but it definitely got me to see the world from a totally different point of view.
The way that you articulated the experience, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it was truly a valuable experience for you. Although, as you said, you don't want to go back there, that there's so much that you've gained from that experience.
Yeah.
So, as a contributing author to Breaking the Silence, Awakening Your Intuitive Voice, Mark, how does your chapter align with the book's theme of transformation and self-discovery?
My chapter is a description of my transformation and breaking down my barriers, which became the rhythm, the pulse, the beat, the habit of my life. That by breaking down those boundaries, by cutting through them, by being on an expedition through the jungle with my machete and some intuition assisting me to cut through those boundaries, I definitely transformed. I transformed from something that I guess I always aspired to be to becoming what I am in a way. And I can't really say that it's almost like, yeah, that little tiny thing that I thought I was, and this enormous thing that I actually was, I really did myself a disservice by expecting that I was going to become what I thought I was. Um, but yeah, the transformation wasn't only in my life on the outside, it was the transformation of myself. It was the transformation of discovering myself and the sense of value that I have from the experiences that I've received without judgment, without criticism, without condemnation, and finding the benefit of those in the nature of the shaping of my character as I went through them and afterwards, of course.
So, Mark, who do you feel you've become because of all of that? You know, you're speaking about who you were and who you've become, but can you share with the listeners, who do you feel that you've really become because you've slashed away through the jungle and used intuition to carve a path in life?
Yeah, best answer I can give you is I've become a student.
Wow.
I've become a student, and I'm studying for my master's. I'm studying for my whatever it is out there. I've become a student is the best answer I could give you.
So if you could master one thing because of this experience, and it sounds like you've been a student of life,
Yeah.
and continue to learn, a big question, but you know, and we've talked about purpose as well. So for you, what is that mastery or what is that purpose for you having broken down these boundaries?
Great. I'm glad you asked that question. I have always considered myself to be born at a very special time, at a time that I always considered myself to be calling myself a bridge from an old way of thinking to a newer way of thinking. We had a very practical, simple life, and now in my lifetime, there are kids who never know what that thing is. As if it doesn't have a power button, what do they do with it? So I have found that is a growing number of people who are our age who are beginning to realize that the world has lost a lot of community, a sense of community. It's it's at the verge of becoming either an automatic machine or a world family. And one thing that families or villages have is they have elders. And I think there's no one more qualified for people like us in our age, in our time frame, who have witnessed what we've seen, who know the practical skills, but have also come across through to the other side, understanding the technical know-how and the visionary perspective that the newer kids are starting to look at, and being able to put them together and say, okay, great kid, I'm sure you want to be an influencer, but you know how to handle grief. Do you know how to handle yourself when you don't know what to do, when it hasn't got a button, when you can't pay for it? And these are the skills that I believe that I have as an elder, whether it's living on the street or traipsing through the backwaters of India. Wherever I've been, these skills have given me an invaluable pool of resources to draw on. So when I do arrive at the matriculation of the time that I've been studying, I'll be, I hope I'm qualified for the students that I'll have.
Well, as a bridge, considering yourself a bridge and a wise elder, and with everything that you've experienced, you've given so much to think about just in that response by itself. So what do you hope the readers will take away from your chapter, especially those who feel maybe disconnected from their intuition, or, as you put it so well, don't have an off button or a button to switch on or off?
I hope the readers can gain a larger sense of purpose, that there are bigger things in life than these little buttons or these little numbers that that everyone is so focused on keeping a hold of. That life is like a big carpet, that it just unrolls. And as the carpet unrolls and reveals more and more of the tapestry, that there is a larger purpose than simply getting your toes out of the way as it unrolls. To actually taking back a look at what's there in front of you and realizing that some moments may or may not be judged as being great or not great. But you know that old story about the farmer who had a couple of horses who ran away, and all the villagers went, oh, that's so bad. And the farmer just went, well, could be good, could be bad. And then his son, they came back the next day with more horses, and they went, oh, that's great, could be good, could be bad. Then his son was breaking them in and broke his leg. Oh, that's bad, could be good, could be bad. Then the military came in very soon afterwards to collect all the young men, and he had a broken leg and he was spared going to war. And the villagers went, oh, that's so wonderful for you. Could be good, could be bad.
That's an amazing perspective to have, to be neutral, potentially in a place of chaos, especially in our world today. So reflecting on your journey, Mark, is there one piece of advice that you could give about trusting your intuition or honing your intuition? And if there was, what would it be?
Cultivate non-judgment. That's the best I can suggest.
Well, if that's the best that you can suggest, then that's the best that you can suggest. So, Mark, I really want to thank you for sharing your incredible journey, your insights with us today. I know that we could just continue talking for much longer than the time that we've allocated for today's podcast. Your story from navigating the fringes of society to finding solace and purpose through your creativity, your healing, just the way that you articulate who you are is such a powerful reminder of intuition, but the resilience inside of all of us. And also, having been through many things in your life, considering yourself as being a lifelong learner, but at the same time, having the wisdom of the elder to be able to share with the younger generation coming through, I think is a really honorable quality. So your chapter, The Conduct of Intuition, is not just a reflection of your own personal growth, but an invitation for all of us to sharpen our own intuitive blades and cut through the boundaries that hold us back. The way you've intertwined creativity, connection, self-discovery with a deeper message of intuition truly resonates with the heart of this podcast. Here on Breaking the Silence, we strive to uncover layers of authenticity, and your story has beautifully illustrated how embracing intuition and courageously stepping into the unknown can lead to profound transformation. So to our listeners, if Mark's journey has inspired you, we encourage you to explore this chapter, to explore Mark's chapter in the upcoming book, Breaking the Silence, Awakening Your Intuitive Voice, releasing early in 2025, and I know that we can't wait. His insights offer a unique lens into how intuition can guide us through life's challenges and lead us to a place of clarity, creativity, and even deeper connection. So thanks for joining us, Mark. And to all of our listeners, remember your voice matters. Your intuition is a powerful tool. Your story holds the potential to inspire others. And until we meet again, keep shining your light.